Looks like we're live in Zoom. Are we in fact? Yes, we are live on YouTube. Hello, everyone. My name is Sheila Corona. Welcome to New Light Streaming Love. Today is Tuesday, April the 15th, 2025. And I had big plans for Sunday evening, but I did warn everybody that if I got back late that I wouldn't do a live intuitive hangout session. And then I had big plans yesterday. And, I didn't even get to do a one-time morning deal yesterday. So as you might imagine, just like everybody else, things are happening all over the planet, right? And so I'm no different. I had such a lovely visit with my son and his wife on Sunday. And so I didn't arrive back home till quite late on Sunday evening. However, yesterday I had, I got triggered, and what I'm noticing now for myself when I get triggered. Good morning, Mark. I hope you're doing well. Oh, good. Perfect. I'm so glad. Mark said sound and picture is good quality. Thank you for that. What I'm noticing for myself is that the kinds of triggers that are happening for me now apparently run very, very deep. And what do I mean by that? I mean that they are affecting my physicality in a way that is quite scary to me. And my body, it's almost like the immediate response to the couple of times I've been triggered of late is so deep and so intense that it causes shaking, and my whole body reacts in a way that is not comfortable, but also, like I said, rather scary. And when sitting with myself in quiet contemplation, meditation, and asking myself questions about the incident, what caused that? Why am I feeling like this? Why is this trigger so intense? What I got for myself is that this is a very deep, partially generational, yes, but also when I say deep, I was shown myself at a 2 and 3-year-old stage. And so this is my body's reaction to a trigger that I can't put my finger on, right? That I have no living memory at this juncture to examine for myself. Now, there's a couple of things about that for me. Due to my own personal health situation, this is not a good thing. I've become a bit concerned for myself, and so I'm looking at that. And I want to make sure that I'm not running from something, right? Because, and I got to tell y'all, my sister said something to me this morning that was so profound. I told her I'm going to use it because she was so smack on. And that is, how can we trust ourselves if we are continuing to lie to ourselves? feel into that statement for a moment, because the moment she said that, I knew what she was saying was a truth that cannot be denied. And I've promised my larger self that I will not lie to myself ever anymore. There's no running, because there's no place to hide. The truth of the matter is, for me, it's not supported on this planet. Oh, you can think you're going to run all you want to, but it won't work, because wherever you go, there you are. And so, yeah, the surrender deck is surrender procrastination. And some of what I have had going on does have to do with procrastination. And then I ask myself, well, so why are you procrastinating? Right? But yeah, that was such a huge truth, because part of what I see for myself that's happening on the planet with me, with everyone from an observatory stance, is that the energy on planet Earth is about all of us moving into the energy of sovereignty and being able to trust ourselves. But boy, when my sister said that to me, because if you're willing to lie to yourself, then how can you trust yourself? And that's so smack on. One has to be ready and willing to stand naked before oneself and look at all of what we got going on. And nobody's forcing anybody to do anything. At least not here with me. There's no forcing of anything. If one isn't ready, one's not ready. However, it feels to me, could just be me. Your individual mileage may vary. It feels to me like the energy of running and hiding from self is no longer supported. Well, you can run, but you cannot hide. And it'll just get worse and worse and worse and worse until one faces and embraces whatever one is trying to run from. At least that's my premise. We had two jump out from the Hero's Journey Dream Oracle. One of them we had just recently, the me time, enjoy your own company. That does seem like a very specific, and I'm feeling it in a whole new light today after yesterday. Because I've had to ask myself, are you in this community that you're in because you don't want to be alone? And that's a very real question I have to ask myself, because quite frankly, between you, me, and the guardrail post, I've never lived alone. Even during the years that I was quote unquote alone, I wasn't alone. I was raising my son. I wasn't coupled up. You know what I mean? There was nobody in my life. But I've never physically lived completely in my own energy. And so it may be time for me now to do that, which is also tough because I adore the folks that I am living with here. But it is something that I have to wonder, am I procrastinating and why? Right? The surrender deck card says, now is the time to jump on a goal instead of putting it off. Taking action will attract success. And I can't unsee that immediately after that, the me time card came out again. DG Walker said, louder and louder, it's the inner voice. Exactly. The inner voice ignored. Yes. Yes, ma'am. And like I said, I don't know if you were here for what I just said, DG, but my sister said the most profound thing this morning to me that I've heard ever in my life. And that is, how can we actually trust ourselves if we are continuing to lie to ourselves and ignore that inner voice? And never truer words were spoken in my view. I mean, that just like smacked me right in the face when she said it. I could not unsee that on any sort of level. And it's true. I think that that is partly what all of us move through, because as we are learning to trust ourselves, it may be a big job to trust yourself. It has been for me. But how can we look at things if we don't? Right? The fairies, the green woman came out. I'm also seeing the other card that came out from the Hero's Journey deck was flip it on the upside down. Question your beliefs. And that's a big, big one that a lot of the way I look at it for myself has. DG said, yes, I agree. And hi, Mark. Oh, how lovely. I love it when you guys interact with each other in these lives as well. So I want to tell you that I want to come back and do a live intuitive hangout session, but I'll be honest with you, in just getting here today, my nervous system is not back to where it needs to be, where I would prefer it to be. I have a headache going on right now, but I also knew that I needed personally to have a reading. As I've said to you guys before, this is more about me with me than it is me with you. I've never made that a secret. It's one of the reasons why I don't make this a business. This is about me. And so I'm not quite sure what the rest of the day, plus I noticed yesterday I only had $9 in my PayPal account. Thank goodness. And thank goodness I didn't have my bank account linked. I put some money in there so that I would have it. And then I unlinked it. I got myself a MasterCard that would allow me to use any donations or love offerings that I would receive through PayPal. And I that's how I do that. The same with Cash App, right? And I'm so grateful because somebody apparently is trying to take all the money out. Thank goodness it was only $9. So I have to contact PayPal today too. DG said, this full moon has been intense, Sheila. Self-care is a must. Absolutely true. Oh my goodness. This is very interesting to me. So I don't know if you guys can really see it back there, but I was guided to arrange my 3 octopi in a particular way. And I can see now that you really can't see the littlest one because of the way the yarn is. But I was guided because I usually have the 2 sitting on the top and the larger one. But you see, for me personally, I have been asking for all of me into me. Is in my visuals, I see it as the larger, more expansive part of me is entering into this vessel. Part of why the central nervous system, the messages I keep getting is that the central nervous system is being widened because it's the communication superhighway for the body, right? And which also, Mark, I'm pretty sure is what you've been seeing around my vessel. I actually, around my head, I actually had another conversation with another viewer who shared some things with me that he is seeing, sensing, and feeling in regards to numbers and colors. And for some reason, I don't quite understand what it was he was trying to communicate to me, but I feel there's something there, and I feel that it's connected into what I'm moving through and what you have reported to me that you're seeing. And I am intuitively feeling that it has to do with some of this for me. Again, these are my interpretations of what I'm seeing, sensing, and feeling. And I'm at a stage where I'm just beginning to understand what it is I'm being shown. Sheila, I saw your vision expanding with energies I wasn't familiar with, but it makes sense. You are now seeing more, sensing more. You don't have to react or perform to more. No, that's right. I had a feeling to set them up like that because that is indeed what I keep being shown. And very interesting, this is the card that popped out. Now, I have no idea what this card will have to say, but gee willigers, it sure looks like light streaming into a vessel through one and into the other. And I always have felt like that's what it is. It goes through this sort of a step down, because the more expansive part of me is huge, right? And all of us is huge. And it goes into this really concentrated form, if you will, of light in order to enter here. But it's still at a frequency that the human vessel, my vessel in particular, let's just say, has not been used to. And in order to do that, there's changes, and because it is an evolution that's taking place. And I really truly feel that now this will probably be years and years and years down the line, but I really do feel like, and this is part and parcel when Lisa is ready to come and have conversations with us again about what she's moving through. She and others, she is not the only one, but there are others as well who are moving through things that do involve the medical industry. I had an insight during, and I think I shared that during one of her appointments just recently with a specialist, that was part and parcel behind the compartmentalization of medicine, so that even those who are, working with the human vessel are limited in scope. So perhaps they won't make the connections that are going on, or that in an effort to slow all of that down. And so I do feel like eventually that will be known in terms of not how they slowed it down necessarily. That may be too, but the fact that it is all interconnected, right? So I don't know. We'll see. Now, the very first card that really wants to be read is this first one. And I'm not surprised, because it's a 44, which for me is all about, fours are always about foundation, but also multiple fours speak to the archangels energy for some reason. I don't really know why, but it does to me. DG said, perhaps we are acquiring a new layer of our evolution through energy now. I do feel that has always been taking place. It's just that it may be a bit more profound, or because as the layers within dissolve, because the veils aren't out there, they're in here. And they won't drop until we're ready for them to drop, no matter what. This, for me at least, this is the way I'm coming to now see this in a very big way. And so as they drop, because I think that you're right. I think that has always been that way. And once we're ready to partake of a certain thing or understand a certain thing, we will see it, and it will also not just make itself known, but again, I keep being shown that, especially, and I just know with all of me, that was the reason why I had that experience with thinking that Corona was going to go viral and thinking it was me, so that I could actually see that it is our interpretation of what we receive as to whether or not we have the full picture of what it is. Because my guidance wasn't wrong. It was my interpretation in those moments that I interpreted incorrectly. And I'll say this, maybe incorrectly at that point. I don't know that this or any other YouTube channel or whatever that I am a part of wouldn't go viral for some reason, right? So at any rate, Mark said it was a bright neon red energy. I haven't in the past seen that energy as spiritual, but it's forming new neuro connections, actual new structures in your brain. And DG said maybe awakening to it. Yes, I do feel like that's true, sweetheart. I think and Mark said too, yes, you nailed it. And I think that's right. Because, I mean, what if? I mean, for me, this is all about me. It always has been, it always will be, and I think it is for all of us. And we see, sense, and feel what we are ready to see, sense, and feel, and not a moment before. Not one moment before. I think there might be ways to force it, but in those moments, that is what might, in my view, cause a psychotic break with reality. I mean, it's at least a possibility and a plausibility that that is so. And I know that for about 2.5 years, the message I was receiving was for me to relax into myself, to stop worrying about being left behind, or I'm not getting it fast enough, or whatever those things are. And I now feel with all of me that that is what that message was for me. And again, each being will come to it in their own timing, in their own speech, in their own way, as it is meant to be. But for me personally, I really feel like that is what that means. So the very first card that wanted to be talked about is the jackal. And the key word to this card is truth. Authenticity is important. Live your truth fearlessly. Someone around you is not telling the truth. Do not fear what you cannot control. We will all leave a legacy, so you should consider what this might be for you. Death is a part of life. The mythos. The majestic jackal-headed god Anubis stands next to the embalmer. He guides the embalmer's hands so they perform the correct actions and listens in satisfaction as the proper incantations are made. Infinitely gentle, Anubis takes great care of the tender new souls who have passed on to the next world, the afterlife. He travels with them, reassuring them, making them comfortable upon this surprising journey, and taking them to the goddess Mot, she who is law. It is she who will weigh their souls against the lightness of a feather, and it is she who will determine whether these souls will live forever. Anubis will record this in the great book of the dead. To our eyes, Anubis looks fearsome, but this is not the truth. Jackals did move among the graveyards and clear the dead, but this jackal hopes that the person has lived a truthful and good life, so they get to experience the afterlife. The alternative is that they get eaten by Ammit, the devourer of souls. When the cult god Osiris grew stronger in the later Middle Kingdom, Osiris took over many of Anubis' jobs as caretaker and protector of the dead. Thereafter, Anubis myths became more focused on specific embalming methods and mummification processes. The care and effectiveness in which the mummification process was enacted is still a marvel today. The priests of the funerary rites would place a sacred mask of Anubis upon their faces when conducting the mummification, and thus the dead person became the god himself. The animal. There are 3 species of jackal, all of which are members of the canine family: the golden jackal, the side-striped jackal, and the black-backed jackal. They are omnivores that are opportunistic both in hunting and scavenging, which is where the reputation for being around graveyards or sites of war comes from, as jackals will come for the dead and consume them, exactly as the same is can be said for buzzards or vultures. Jackals have large territories and are endurance animals, quite able to travel over long distances in hot temperatures without breaks. They do not form large packs and are most often solitary, although hunting pairs are common. Mortality for jackal pups is high, and to protect her babies, a jackal mother will often move her pups to a new den every few weeks. The magic. Sometimes we need a big dose of truth in our lives, which is where the jackal energy is a positive force. Even when finding out the truth of a situation means pain, it is better to know the truth, and jackal energy can be a comfort. Also, call upon this energy when you or others are affected by death. Allow yourself to know that the person who has died has a soul that is being carefully protected and watched over. The symbology: a jackal-headed man, flail, pointed ears. The status: all jackals are listed as of least concern. This is actually the last card in this deck as well, which I find kind of interesting as well. I was Osiris for real, Mark said. That's interesting. Don't believe all the false cult stuff. The actual life was very different. The rest was fake and written by greedy priests. Well, as is almost always the case, isn't it? So I find this very interesting for myself because, again, especially given what I was saying to you about what my sister said and how I really want to see all of me, and I don't. I am not practicing running. And I want to be certain that, I'm not running if I choose to leave this situation that I'm living in at the moment, because honestly, I adore all of these people and I have learned so much. And it doesn't mean that it's all, over. It's just some situations have arisen for myself within which I have to really look at for myself. Okay, so the next one that wants to come out to be read is The Journey of Love, and it's card number 9, which again is the end of a cycle. And it is the heart of God. And it really looks, again, for me, for all the world, as a portal. You are a part of something profound, a divine calling and privilege. It is the role of inspiratrix or inspirator upon this earth. The women and men who have hearts capable of bliss. Bliss is what we feel when we let God in. The heart opens, and we cannot speak for the sensation of it. It cannot be described. Great hearts can tolerate mystery. They can bear the enormity of divine bliss beyond analysis and description and simply be. You don't have to do anything with it, you see. To be the inspiration is to have a heart open to the divine. It's a life calling. Your heart is an inspirational force to be loved, recognized, and protected for the precious catalyst of divine awakening that it is. Be led by your heart. God is in it, speaking through it, calling you forth to love. And the love that flows through your heart filters out through your toes, dripping on those beneath you as stars falling from heaven. This oracle holds a message for you direct from the divine. You have a sacred purpose to fulfill upon this earth, and it's all sorted out. This situation, this issue, this awakening that you seek and are living even now is held lovingly in the hands of the divine creator. The creator says to you, leave it with me. It's all unfolding in perfection. I am alive in your heart. I am your heart. You know what? For the first time in my life, I truly believe this is a true statement for me personally. I don't have to get all twisted up worrying about how I'm going to do this, that, or the other, because I know that if it is meant for me, then a way will be made. I don't have to try to figure out how am I going to do this, that, or the other. And that's part of what my whole trauma has been. Part of it is having lived in such poverty and poverty consciousness. That's a real thing too. But I finally, for the first time in my life, get that on a level that I didn't think I would ever truly understand. I love that card too. Um, When souls are touched with love sublime and hearts unleash the wonder found, a promise made somewhere in time of words that speak without a sound. In gratitude, we transcend space and bless the gifts we now can keep of thoughts caress in soft embrace and eyes allowed in joy to weep. The moment's song that we compose will leave this life with no regret and carry forth what we impose to chart again a course once set. For what we have is ours to own. Each breath a step we measure sweet. Together now we wait alone and walk in peace, our hearts complete. Wow. Again, for the first time in my life, I truly get um, a lot of what I have been being shown on levels that I can't unsee. And so, even if, let's just take it for a moment, even if the truth is that Anubis is coming to collect me, I'm okay with that. I really am. I'm ready to see whatever presents itself next. I really don't feel like that's the case, but I'm ready in the event that that should transpire. I think this Alchemy Elemental card wants to be next because it sure is screaming at me at the moment. Card number 38, which is, what is that? That's a 4 too, isn't it? No, that's an 11. That's an 11. All right. Water, waterfall, sun. And it's on page 52, which is a 7. So we have a master number and a divine number. Isn't that interesting? Here we go. Our whole planet is organized by cycles. The phases of the moon affect the ocean's tides. The interplay of the Earth's movement. My eyes are trying to go sideways. The interplay of the Earth's movement around the sun affects the seasons and the weather. Women themselves are cyclical beings who bleed along with the moon phases. Human beings navigate cycles of expansion and contraction, growth and stagnation, and fortune and tragedy. No one is immune to life's ups and downs. All we can do is ride the waves and trust the journey while remembering that everything changes. You, my dear, are entering a cycle of greatness. The hardships and difficulties you have endured are behind you and have been replaced with the blessings of grace and the rewards of spirit. Your journey has been long and arduous, and your soul has been waiting for this turn of fortune. So bask in the magnificence coming your way. Allow yourself to feel all the joy and all the excitement that's pouring into you now. Well, yeah, because I could look at some of the things that I'm contemplating with fear and trepidation, or I can see it as a new adventure, which is what I'm planning to do. Look at it as an adventure. Now, who wants to be next? It's looking like the hero's journey wants to come. And you know, I said, without even realizing it, I said this card feels like a portal. Well, this one actually looks like a portal, doesn't it? Mark said, yeah, Sheila, you've felt like you had to perform to be valid. Yes, You're so smack on, not just to perform, but perform in a very particular way. Because my very presence rubs some people the wrong way. And I, all my life, have thought that I made somebody else uncomfortable and it was my fault, my problem. Oh, you are so smack on about that, sir. Very smack on. And that's why I say some of this is so, so deep and goes back to when I was so, so little. I've actually even said that sometimes I have felt like I'm the dancing bear. Yeah, no, we all tend to do that. I think you could be right, but it's like I owned an awful lot that I didn't need to own, and that I'm now for the first time actually really seeing in a very different way, a very profound and different way. So this card says, flip it upside down and question your beliefs. There's a quote here from Viktor Frankl. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given circumstances, to choose one's own way. Well, that's a true statement, isn't it? DG said, we are not responsible for how others choose to feel. True. You're so right. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. I really do. That's why I said this is something so deep. And I've even said those words out loud. I have. And this is something so very deep. And tied to something within my vessel that has caused a physical reaction that is absolutely terrifying to me in the way that it just, and so not at all good for my health on any sort of level. And I have to get to the bottom of that for myself. So the message attached to this card is, what's true in the ordinary world is flipped on its head in the extraordinary world of dreams and the heroic life of magic and miracles. In ordinary life, it's instinctual to run from things that scare you. Oh my gosh. I knew I had to do a reading today. I knew I had to. But when you face those fears in a dream, you increase your personal power. In dreams, the tragedy of fire, flood, and destruction can symbolize rapid change and new birth. If you get stuck in black and white thinking, all you have to do is to flip yourself upside down, literally or figuratively, to see the world from a dream's perspective. When the sky becomes the ground and the ground becomes the sky, you realize you have the freedom and the ability to flip, quote, reality on its head, no matter how rigid the belief or experience. It's just waiting for you to turn it around. Quote, it's all his fault becomes, quote, it's all my responsibility. And that's a true statement. And I know that that is a true statement. That is why I am very grateful for having been triggered in the way that I have been the few times that I have been here. Trust, very grateful. Because without that triggering, I wouldn't know to look, you see. No matter how rigid the belief or experience, it's just waiting for you to turn it around. It's all his fault becomes it's all my responsibility. And, quote, she doesn't love me transforms into I am loved more than I could ever perceive. There's a dream symbol of the upside down. Dreams of, which, you know what? There's, ever since Stranger Things came out and what was being referred to as the upside down, there's been a lot of upside down depiction in different things that Lisa and I have seen, right? And things that we've experienced. Oh, that's the upside down, right? And quite frankly, there's a lot in this reality that feels upside down, right? Very interesting. Dreams of something being upside down indicate that you are opening to a more expansive point of view, seeing and beholding your experience from an out of the box perspective. What may have seemed like the worst thing that could happen could turn out to be a great blessing in disguise. The mantra associated with this card: when a problem comes along, I must flip it. When I'm upside down, I'm right side up. Well, no matter how you slice it, this is a portal for me. And again, it's card 27, which is a 9 numerologically. So, very interesting that I said that about both of these cards being the end of a cycle. Wow. I'm not going to read this card because I just had it the other day. Me time. I just feel like this is telling me again. Well, actually, it's telling me to stop procrastinating and get to some me time in a whole other way. DG said, we are not responsible for how others choose to feel. True, I get that we have felt that, though. True enough. I am powerless over how another processes their perception of reality. Also true. So very true. Which, like I said, is I'm very well aware that there's you know gold in all of, oh my God, it opened, I opened this book and it went right to the page for the card that showed itself, which is the Green Woman, card number 23, which is a 5 numerologically, which again is all about change. Wow. The key words for this card: wildness, natural magic, expectant gratitude, untrammeled creativity. The Green Woman dances naked in the moonlight and in the sunlight and the shadows as well. She doesn't care what you think of her. She knows her own worth from her experience of life. And I got to tell y'all, for the very first time, I see this about myself in a way I've never allowed myself to see it before. And I am owning that in these moments of now. And again, in a way I've never allowed myself to own it, which will make me even scarier to some. And I realize that. She is the feminine, vital, vegetative force that enables a root to crack stone, the reed to bend in the wind, and the oak to stand against the storm. You know, Krystle has actually referred to me as a catalyst, a spiritual catalyst, and I don't think she's wrong at this point. The graceful slow motion dance of the green woman shows us how to release the constraints of artificial rules and limitations and find our true pattern of growth. Each of us, rooted or not, has an inborn pattern of perfection to guide our growth. And for me, I had to see that because for a long time, I was holding it that my way was the only way. And if it works for me, then it would work for you. But that is not only not true on any sort of level, but of course it's not true on any sort of level. The whole point is to be a unique individual expression of the divine. Why would the divine want to come here and express itself exactly the same way as me? That would be redundant and rather stupid, if you ask me. But I finally see that on a level that I never allowed myself to see before. Mark said, your presence in your body has expanded in the past few days, Sheila. Thank you. I can feel that as well. And I also feel that's part of what this physical pain has been about for me as well. Earth Mother nurtures us. Sun Father energizes us. Storms batter us, and sometimes we must bend before them. Other life preys upon us on the one hand and nourishes and supports us on the other. Within the framework of the real world, we seek our path to realizing our own potential and finding our own fulfillment. The Green Woman reminds us that where the ground is fertile, something will grow. It may be nettles or thistles or roses or carrots or sandburrs or peaches, but it will be something, because fertile earth never remains empty. She tells us to stay earthed, to attend to our own growing ground, keeping it fertile, aerated, and well watered, and to pay attention to what grows there. It is up to us to root out what we don't want within ourselves and to nurture what we do. She also reminds us to count our blessings and deal with our difficulties. A tree grows where the seed falls, as do all of our rooted brothers and sisters. They teach us of the importance of making the best of what comes to us, showing patience and perseverance in adversity. When a plant is thirsty, it can only do limited things to assuage its thirst, like slowly driving its roots deeper in search of water. But mostly, it must wait for water to come to it. Although we have legs and can often take action to get what we want, or at least try to, there are some things beyond our reach. These are the things we can learn from the Green Woman's example, waiting patiently and with expectant gratitude. Yet at the same time, she counsels us to take risks, to let new and unfamiliar wild seeds grow and see what they may become. Watch them closely. Some of them may be miracles waiting to happen in our lives. As we develop our own free and untrammeled creativity, The green woman grows within us. The green woman speaks to us of caring for our growing ground and of the physical satisfaction of being our natural selves and practicing our own innate magic. This is a time for enhancing the growth of our talents and abilities, a time of blossoming that will bear fruit. It may also be a time of growing maturity and self-confidence. Experience trusting yourself and trusting the process of growth. She also reminds us of material reward ahead, the harvest of the seeds we have planted and nurtured. She counsels boldness and perseverance in the face of adversity. Yet she also reminds us that sometimes the only action we can take is to wait patiently and keep growing. Well, the truth of it for me is, and see, this is the beauty of what I've done over the past 7 years that I've been in this community, is continuing to open myself to see myself, continue to seek out little bits of information that may give me insight into me, to not shy away from things that kind of scare me. I use the word scare, but I will not allow myself to go over into full-blown fear. Partly, again, one of the things I learned about my astrology is that having the Black Moon Lilith in Leo creates the primary fear for me of the shadow of order. It's the shadow of order which creates the primary fear of the fear of change. Well, that's the only constant in the universe. So kind of got to get over that because that's the only thing that will ever continue to be is change. And I'm either going to trust me or not, which makes what my sister said today so profound to me. How can we trust ourselves if we continue to lie to ourselves? And I suspect that part of my issue has been that I've been afraid to live alone. Because at 63 years old, I have never, ever lived completely on my own. I got married at 16 to my first husband. When I divorced him, I went and lived with my mother. When I left her, I moved in with a roommate. When I left that roommate, I married my second husband. When I left my second husband, I had a child with him. I raised my child alone for 7 years, and then married the man that I stayed with for 28 and a half years. There has never been a time where I have lived on my own. And so at this juncture, I have to ask myself, is that what you're afraid of? To be only with you? Because then you got nobody else's energy but your own. And so, especially when you are an older adult on disability and you only have a certain amount of money to work with, and your health has been in a place of so I have to ask these questions of myself. And it's looking to me like it's time. As much as I will hate saying goodbye to my community because I adore these folks, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to disappear from their lives forever. We just won't cohabitate for a time. So just to let y'all know, that is what's up for Sheila at this moment, is looking at those things in a very real way for myself. What will be next? And the the whole idea with Candy, my van that was gifted to me by a viewer, the whole idea with her was for her to be a camper van, for me to be able to travel and meet some of you in person and just go and do and be. And unfortunately, because some things didn't work out the way I had hoped, the money disappeared, and unfortunately, so did the folks that were going to be working on Candy. And look what I just saw. Wow. And this is 2 different decks, y'all. 2 different decks. Boy, oh boy, that's the heart of God and Anubis. And I said this has archangel energy all over it. Wow. There's a lot going on, in my view, on the planet itself, but for me personally. So that's it for today. I hope this was helpful for any of you that might have found yourself here, because it's certainly time for me to end whatever procrastination has been about there, to embrace all of me and the change that I feel coming. And again, I would like to be able to come here this evening and do a hangout session, but I won't promise it, because I'm going to take care of me in every way that I can. I want to say too, part of the reason I also want to do that though, is I want to talk to you guys about, if you find yourself able to assist my partner, Krystle Hemphill, who will be going through spinal surgery and therefore will have to miss, we don't know how much of her workaday job that she has that she'll have to miss, but there are so many ways that you could support her. If you feel like you need or buying a gift for somebody, go. I did a short video that shows you how to go to knewlightstreaminglove and find all the items that she offers. She has artwork, she has channeled work, she has courses in light language and tarot that you could take at your own, at your own pace. She has created some really cool designs that she has up for sale on Bonfire. And there's a link there that you can go and take a look at. So please do go and take a look at that video. I will later on today be creating a GoFundMe account for all of you to be able to share, if you will, please, to assist her. She's a single mom, and I want to try to help her provide for her family while she moves through this surgery that, somebody hit her. They ran a stop sign, and not only did they undo what the surgery she had done last year, but they made what it was to be done worse. And so the surgery has to go farther down her spine this time. And so, she's having issues with walking and with her arms. And I don't want her to put this off. And so if you guys are able to, if you find yourself called to, all that you might be able to do would be wildly appreciated. If you've ever found yourself desirous of working with me, I am I'm happy to meet with you and do a blueprint, do a BQ8 session if you'd like to experience that. And whatever love offering that you would give to me will go straight to Krystle. Mark said, I'm in the Sonoran Desert and very isolated. It's been tough, but I've gained much. I'm not recommending it for you. I didn't knowingly choose it as a path. I had my desires. God had his own plan, which I'm very well aware. That's why I'm putting myself in the universe's hands. There are things that I'm aware that I can do. I'm going to get on some waiting list for HUD because technically I am now considered homeless, even though I do have a place to sleep. I am technically considered homeless. I'm not on a lease anywhere. And so that will help in my favor. So we'll see what's going to present. But at the same time, I'm just open to whatever the creator, the universe is going to, bring my way. And we'll see, right? I mean, at least I'm not running from any of it. So, as I said, if you feel like you would like to work with me in any capacity, reach out ConsciousConversationCentral@gmail.com. I am putting ways to help Krystle in every video that goes out. This one being live won't have it until later on today, or actually, I don't think it'll appear till tomorrow. But I will be uploading this video because I recorded it onto Sassy Seer Sheila, and it will have all the ways. And like I said, that video that I did, I think it's about 20 minutes that just takes you on a guided tour of the website. It has all the information is in there as well. So I hope that you will move towards that which brings you joy in each moment that presents itself to you. It truly is just a matter of your perspective, your perception of your perspective. And I guess that's it. If I do a live later on tonight, it will be on Sassy Seer Sheila. So be sure to take a look over there for that if I do tonight. Mwah. Till we meet again, my friends, be well.